thank you for clicking on this video and welcome back to my channel. You can call me Twinkle, call me SheIsTwinkle, or call me Antoinette. Either way, I'm here to give you my take on Love is Blind. This is season 5, episodes 5 and 6. As you can imagine, it starts off with Uche because that's how the last episode ended. Uche could not wait to go back and tell the men that Aaliyah was gone. He was dumbfounded. He had no idea why she left. That's when he started sitting down and explaining to all of them what had went down between him and Lydia and how Aaliyah had just found out and it just wasn't good. And so some of them looked shocked, and Milton even spoke up and said, hey, I already know, Lydia explained it to me, I'm good, I'm not tripping. Well, fast forward, Uche, he was still tripping. So Uche, he was in his confessional and it's all about him. He's looking around, dumbfounded and confused. And he said, I just can't accept this without having a chance to talk to her. Now, mind you, they don't have each other's numbers because they've only blind dated in the pods. So the producer is saying that the producer can call her for some type of closure, but the producer is going to ask her if she wants to speak to him. So she wanted to speak to him. Why did she do that? I don't know. So he puts her on speaker and he asks her what happened. So basically, there was an exchange between Aaliyah and Lydia, but apparently more went down, more was said, and I'm not exactly sure why they didn't show that on camera. Maybe Netflix is holding the footage to show us at the reunion or at a later date, but apparently the exchange became heated. Lydia revealed more information that led Aaliyah to assume that she knew that Uche was going to be coming on the show. And so he's thinking, well, why wouldn't you just tell me? Why would you just leave me like that? I'm here ready to propose to you and you just left me. He's told her, when you love somebody, you just don't leave them without saying anything. So then he asks her, how do you feel about me now? And to our surprise, she says, I still love you. I still want you, which is very confusing because she got on a plane to leave. Like, they're not in the same city filming these pods. When they leave, they get on a plane. So if you still want him and you still love him, I don't know. I don't like reasoning with Uche. I really don't. But she technically could have left him a letter or something, wrote him a poem and explained it to him. I don't know. I know that communication is key and he wasn't great at communicating, but they both could have done better in this situation. And if you're going to be done, then just be done and stand on it. Don't backpedal when he starts aggressively confronting you and questioning you when he calls you. Whatever the case, he started to get even more aggressive and he flipped the entire thing on her and said, you let some girl come in between us, Lydia, the girl that he dated and recently slept with, you let her come between us. I thought we were better than that. You just didn't trust me. You didn't have faith in our relationship. He ends the conversation and says, I don't want to talk to her. I don't want to see her. I don't want her number. I'm done with her. Okay. So I think that he's the type of person he likes to have the last word. And when she left, that was like her getting the last word. So he couldn't accept that. So he needed to close the door in their relationship. But is it closed? Put a pin in that. All right. So of course, at the end of the last episode, Milton proposed to Lydia. Now they have to see each other. They're both really excited. They have no idea what each other's going to look like. So just like the other reveals, he's on one side, she's on the other side. The doors open and they walk in the middle to each other and they have surprised looks on their faces, but it's still a smile. Neither one of them looks displeased. And what I can tell you is that they're both shocked, but it was in a good way. But they immediately started having like a full-on makeout session. He's super tall. She's really short. He said that he had no idea that she was going to be that short. She's little, she's petite, and she didn't think he'd be that tall. She actually asked him how tall he was, and he joked around and said he was 5'10". He's obviously not 5'10". Milton is like a tree. He's actually 6'7". So I thought that their interaction with each other was really good. And they go and sit down to the side, which then they start kissing again. But apparently it's probably easier for them to get to each other when they're face to face rather than him literally having to bend down to her. But She is Puerto Rican, and so English is more so her second language. And so she actually messes up a lot of her words. And in this moment, he tells her, like, most of the time, I don't even know what you're saying half the time. Like, we're going to have to get you flashcards or a tutor. And she said, no, we're not going to do that. And pause. Some people probably would take a lot of offense to that. And I just don't see anything wrong with it. I think that he's trying to help her out. I don't think he's trying to make fun of her. So at one point she looks at him and she's like, oh my gosh, you're humongous. What's the word? Humongous. Yes, you're humongous. But you understand that she gets it wrong sometimes because that's not her first language. He corrected her and it was all good. But they're very playful. Like, she's feisty and fiery with him and she's quick-witted, but so is he. I actually never expected Milton to have as much swag as he does when he saw her in person. I've only seen Milton in the pods, and he was more nerdy-like and reserved. But around her, he's actually very confident. So I am really excited for them. They're ready to go off to Mexico. Now, JP and Taylor, they were born before, but JP he is the definition of, if you don't have anything nice to say, you don't say anything at all. I don't think he likes her, so he just doesn't talk. He didn't talk at the reveal, and even in Mexico, they walk into their room, there's a violinist playing. It's almost like a wow moment. It's like a movie. Obviously, the show set it up for them, but he says, wow, like really dry. He's not impressed. She is starting all of their conversations. He did have on a white and blue shirt because, remember, he always wears red, white, and blue. She told him that she cried after the reveal because it was so awkward. So she thought that he didn't like her, and but maybe I'm just overthinking it and getting in my head. And his response is like, yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh yeah, it is awkward. Yeah. Yeah, we'll work on it. Yeah. It'll get better. It's literally a maximum of 3 words. And he says nothing. He doesn't actually reassure her. It sounds like he's just inserting scripted responses that he should say in the moment so that he doesn't look like a butthole. But nevertheless, she's getting fed up, but she's trying to be optimistic. Total opposite from this couple, we have the spicy couple. And when I say spicy, it's like muy caliente in Mexico. We have Izzy and Stacy, and they were so hyped to get in a room together. In their room, almost all their scenes are slightly inappropriate. I'm surprised Netflix went to the extent they did showing some of these scenes, but they're laying on the patio outside of their room, and they're literally laying on top of each other, and they're just all smiles. You can tell they're literally in the honeymoon phase of their relationship, and all their conversation is extremely suggestive now. You can tell that they're ready to explore each other physically, but obviously they're literally working right now. They couldn't just shut the door and not allow the cameras in because they need footage of the couples from the first day. So they're playing along, they're doing their part, but you can tell that's what they're really excited for because that's their conversation. And then they go into a full-on makeout session, and I'm assuming maybe that's their way of kind of nudging the camera guys to get out the room. But they're not too different from the next couple, which is Milton and Lydia. They're sitting on their patio and they're chatting. And I think their conversations, they give us all the laughs for this episode because they challenge each other, but it's playful banter back and forth. And once again, Lydia, English is her second language. So she is talking to him and she's noticing something on the pool. And she was like, oh, is that algae on the pool? And he's like, algae. She's like, no, don't do that. And I just feel like, why are you giving him a hard time? I'm not trying to be funny. The fact that he told her, we need to get you flashcards and a tutor, I feel like he's trying to help her be the best version of herself. Here they're in Mexico now, but she moved to the United States. So I feel like he's trying to help her. It's no different than if he was in Puerto Rico and he's trying to read something or he's trying to say something or somebody's name and he says Josie or Joss or Jesus. No, it's Jose and it's Jesus. he wouldn't obviously know if he hadn't studied any type of Spanish that the J is silent. So what is the difference? If she can help him in that regard, which I'm sure she would, then why can't he help her with simple words like algae? But I digress. This will probably continue on. But anyways, they then have suggestive conversation and saying what they're looking forward to. And they're literally rubbing and touchy feely and all of that. And then they go into a full makeout session. So we have JP and Taylor. They're in their private pool / hot tub. And you would think if there was any place to get romantic with somebody and to break the awkwardness, it would be with your fiance in a full-on bathing suit, and she's right next to you and she's smiling, and you're supposed to be preparing to get married to this person. You're not even like trying at this point. When I say you, I'm meaning JP. She tells him that obviously talking in the pod was totally different than when they now talk in person. And she let him know, like, you're not talking much. Like, I'm going to need a little bit more from you. I know it's kind of awkward, but I want to get past this. And so he says, yeah, I understand. Yep. I'm working on it. Yep. And he's still giving short responses. And at this point, I know she's still trying to be optimistic, but I kind of feel sorry for her because she already, if you remember from her first confessional, she said in the past, she did not think she was ready for marriage because she didn't love herself. And now she loves herself. So I don't know if that had to do with maybe past insecurities or anything like that. But now you have somebody that you fell in love with, and it was an emotional connection in the pods, and now he sees you in person, and now he has nothing to say to you. So in a woman's mind, you're going to start thinking, does he not want me? The only difference now is that he can see me. So why is he acting like this? If your significant other is not speaking to you out of the country, that has to be frustrating, and it has to feel lonely. Moving right along, we have back to Milton and Lydia. I don't know why they showed this scene, but it is literally a steamy shower scene. The showers are fogged up from the steam, and you see Lydia and Milton, they're literally taking a shower and rubbing each other down. So then it cuts to another short scene, and it is literally Izzy and Stacy in a bubble bath in their room, and they are just full on making out. But then back to JP and Taylor. It shows them in their bed. So obviously they were sleeping in the same bed, but there's awkward silence. They have another awkward hard kiss. And she asked him, when you saw me, what's the first thing you noticed about me? Now pause. When she's saying that, she's trying to get a gauge on how he feels about her, especially physically, because she's trying to understand why he's not talking to her. Ironically enough, he says the first thing he noticed about her was her tantalizing eyes. We're going to put a pin in that and remember that detail that he noticed about her. Then we go right on over to Izzy and Stacy. Woke up in the morning. Stacy looks different. Her hair, her face, or lack of makeup, she does look different. All the things they're saying is all sexual innuendos, and they were both like pleasantly surprised and shocked, and they are obviously looking forward to the rest of the trip together and perhaps maybe the rest of their lives together, because they don't have complaints in that department. But beyond that, they had to let us know that Stacy, I don't know if she ate something bad, but apparently she broke the toilet. And I thought that was very interesting for them to say on camera, because we didn't have to know that. But apparently the toilet won't flush. She clogged the toilet. They just met each other. But I guess if you got to go, you got to go. And they're going to be married. But whoa, he still loves her after that. And he doesn't look at her any different. They just laughed about it. So moving on to JP and Taylor, they woke up in bed in the morning and thought it was very interesting. They got up and she's like, are you ready to get some coffee? And he's like, yeah, no problem. Yeah, no problem. 3 words. So then they get up, they go and sit on the patio. They both have their coffee. He has on American flag shorts, because it's always red, white, and blue. I literally look for it in every single scene that he is in. He has on red, white, and blue. She's doing all the talking. He is literally smiling and nodding. In her confessional, she's full-fledged crying. She says she's frustrated. She's anxious. She's scared that she may have made the wrong decision because she feels alone. So their situation will just get deeper and deeper by the end of the episode. But Milton and Lydia, on the other hand, we have a cute little pool scene with them. They're noticing that there's kids in the pool, and they both kind of look uneasy when they see the kids running around. And they said, yeah, I'm not ready for that. And they both agreed on it. And so they started discussing, like, when do you want to have kids? And they started off with 5 years, and they said maybe 10. And then she said, no, I have to have kids before then, because remember, Lydia is 30 years old. So it's good that they're having that kid conversation before the fact. And I would hope that the other couples have done the same. So then we're back to Stacy and Izzy's room. And they're talking about how they're excited to see everyone soon. Because as you know, on every season of Love is Blind, they come back. They all come together at some point on the Mexico trip. And so she was saying, who are you most excited to see, or who are you most nervous to see? And he said he's kind of nervous to see Lydia. And I'm not exactly sure why, because he broke up with her and he has a fiance now. But whatever. He said he's nervous about it. And so Stacy is thinking 10 steps ahead. She said, okay, well, Stacy is aware that Lydia is Puerto Rican. He is Mexican. She said, please don't speak in another language when you're talking to her, because I need to be able to understand what you're saying. And so he says, okay, no problem. I'll just say no comprende. I don't understand. So they laughed about it. And then it went over to the next scene, which was the couples meetup at the beach. And I thought it was really cool because it was showing like montages of all the different scenes and the couples together. They're all playing beach games and they're playing beanbag toss. JP, of course, he is wearing an American flag beach shirt. I knew it was going to be there. And then it's funny because Milton turns to JP and says, you know, it looks like you've been getting some action. I could tell. And JP was like, no. So I thought that was a little like odd moment. I don't even remember how Milton responded, but Milton, your meter, your radar is way off because they are so far from action. But the other two couples, they literally look like they're like playing with each other in blissful paradise. Meanwhile, JP and Taylor are just standing next to each other or with at least 6 feet apart from each other at all times, as if it's COVID regulations. So then we have Izzy. He noticed Lydia. Now remember, Izzy was the ladies' man. He was used to dating on the dating apps. He noticed Lydia and he's like, wow, you know, she's hot, she's attractive, she's a good looking girl, but I want to clear the air with her. I want to go and talk to her. He basically wanted to explain to her why he cut her off at the time that he did. Well, he already gave her that explanation in the pod. So there really was no need for them to talk. There was no having to clear the air. I personally think it was an excuse for him to have one-on-one time with her because he was telling her, you know, I really cared about you. I still care about you. But that is not the energy that Lydia gave him. Lydia is like, yeah, I love Milton. I have nothing against you. We didn't have to clear the air. Like, I mean, I appreciate you saying something, but it's really not a big deal. She totally downplayed him. They ended on a good note. Then we have JP and Taylor. She's starting to get frustrated because she's seeing other couples and she's seeing that they're way farther along than her and JP. They're connecting more and they're still in their awkward phase. They've been in that phase since they saw each other at the reveal, and she is getting really upset. And he's just like, okay, you know, I'm trying. And Taylor is like, plain and simple, it shouldn't be this hard. And he said, look, I really am trying. I just don't want you to give up on me. I want to get past it. And she's like, you know what? I will be optimistic. And then the episode comes to a close. Boom. Episode 6, going home. But we're still in Mexico. So we had a really quick short shower scene between Izzy and Stacy. I guess they said they gave us one with Milton and Lydia. So now it's time for Izzy and Stacy. Then we have JP and Taylor. This is a cute little short scene because JP is holding like what looks like a handheld camera. And Taylor looks at the camera and she says, "I'm not talking, you can talk." And so then the camera pans away because obviously he's not going to talk. Moving right along. Milton and Lydia. We have them and they are having not really an argument, not even a disagreement. At this point, it's just the way that they communicate. She is bossy. He knows that. She is going to try to boss him around and he is going to defy her on purpose. I think even if he wanted to do the same thing that she wanted to do, he would purposely defy her just because she's bossy and he wants to prove a point. So they're going back and forth literally about coordinating swimsuit outfit. She has on a black swimsuit, so she wants him to wear black swim trunks and he's going to put on like a shirt with it. Milton said, "No, I want to wear the gray one." She said, "No, the black ones look better." It is back and forth about it. He comes out of the closet and he has on the gray ones like I knew he would. And I'm actually glad that he does because he's younger than her and she's already bossy. And him defying her is also a way of being like, "You're not going to control me. We're in a relationship, but look, I have a mind of my own. I had a mind of my own before you came around." So I thought that was really cute. So then we have JP and Taylor. Now, this is the most action either one of them have gotten this entire trip in Mexico. They are on ATVs and like they're riding around. Who doesn't have fun on that? You don't actually have to talk. It's loud. It's some type of adventure for them. So after they get off the ATV, she asked him how he's feeling. He says he's like sweaty. He's referring to the actual weather and what they just did, but he's not referring to his emotions at all. She tries to dig deeper and ask him like how they're feeling, how he's feeling about them. And, he's like, "I feel like you should show your freckles more." Okay. So remember last episode, he talked about he first noticed her tantalizing eyes. Now he randomly says you should show your freckles more. At one point, he does say like, "Yeah, I like your pretty face." But he doesn't say it in a convincing manner at all. It's just very bland. But he tells her that he felt more comfortable talking in the pods for some reason. And then he said, "I'm just kind of scared, like you're going to give up on me and like you're just going to go home or something." And she said, "No, I'll give it a little bit more time and see if it changes." So you can tell she's starting to be more stern and putting her foot down. But when he says, "Don't give up on me," it sounds very scripted. It sounds like this is what I should say right here. So then really quick, we have a raunchy game of miniature golf between Izzy and Stacy. Stacy said all types of metaphors for body parts connected to the golf clubs and the balls and the balls going into the hole. Like Stacy was just on one. Obviously she was ready. And that was the entire scene between those two. We're going back to JP and Taylor. Like, let's get like something out of this relationship. So this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Some real conversation. They are sitting in their bed. And of course, what are they talking about? The awkwardness. Now, JP is wearing a USA shirt. You know it, red, white, and blue. It doesn't bother her. It would bother me. Like, do you have any other colors in your wardrobe? Not my relationship. Back to them. So she's beyond frustrated at this moment. She specifically asked him, like, "Okay, I want to know. It wasn't like this with us, our connection in the pods, and we talked. But what changed after the pods?" JP said, "If you would have presented yourself like this without makeup, it would have been better. I felt like you were fake." She looked like caught off guard. Like, "What are you talking about? I literally only wore makeup to the reveal. I haven't worn it for these past 3 days that we've been here. I haven't worn makeup since then. So I don't understand, like, what's the problem? I wasn't fake. I just put on a little makeup. All women put on makeup. I wanted to feel pretty. I wanted to look nice. Like, I wanted to present myself in the best fashion. And it's not that different from what I look like now." And so she asked him, "Is that why you're acting different with me now?" And he said, "That's what started it off." And then he proceeds to go deeper. He told her she had fake eyelashes. Now remember, he said he first noticed her tantalizing eyes. But the eyelashes, the fake eyelashes that bothered him were on those eyes. So he's kind of been trying to say it this whole time, but he hasn't directly said it. So then he said she has a caked up face, which I think is horrible. Horrible coming from a male. There's another way of saying it, but when you say caked up face, that was never going to sit right with her, because he's basically saying she has like a pound of makeup sitting on her face as if she's wearing a mask of some sort, and she looks totally different without it. He said, you had makeup all over my jacket after the reveal. It's like I just wasn't dealing with a real person. I'm like, well, dang, like tell me how you really feel. You haven't talked to her this entire time, and now you just go in. Now you want her to feel extremely insecure. Like she's not even going to want to hug you because I might get makeup all over his jacket. Like, it's like you're referring to her like she went and put on a clown face and presented herself to you, and you were just not impressed. And so you have literally punished her for that. So she tells him, you're not going to tell me what to do. I'm going to wear makeup if I want to. I'm going to wear it because I want to wear it, and it makes me feel good. I don't even wear it all the time. And he's like, fine, do what you want. I'm not trying to control you. Cover up your whole face. I don't care. Like, what woman would get mad because I'm telling you that I like your natural beauty. You look better without makeup, and you're getting mad? I don't understand that. But it's actually his delivery, and he didn't do it with like ease or grace. And he hasn't made her feel beautiful this entire time that he's been around her when she didn't have makeup. He just criticized her from 4 days ago and basically told her she looked like a clown. And if she wants to cover up her face and do all of that, then that's on her. So she wasn't having it. She's like, you know what? I don't have to take this. I'm not sleeping in here tonight, but thank you for actually speaking to me so that we can get somewhere. But I can't stay in here. Like, this is too much and I need to process it. And he's like, okay. Once again, like he doesn't care. We see Stacy and Izzy, they're packing. The next morning, they're getting ready to go back to Houston. Then we see Milton and Lydia, they're packing as well. So that same morning that everybody else is packing, JP was already sitting at the table waiting, and Taylor walks up to him. So that lets me know that obviously he requested to speak to her. But she showed up, no makeup, but she did show up looking fed up. And she sits down at the table. She purposely doesn't talk. But he basically tells her he wants to work on everything. He wants to get past it. So then she just stares at him because she's pulling a him on him. And he says, what are your thoughts? And her response is, well, we're completely different from what we were in the pods. I don't know what changed, what went wrong, but I was emotionally connected to you in the pods. I loved you, the person I thought you were, and that person that was in the pods is not who is sitting in front of me today. I care about you, I do, but you're not the person that I fell in love with. And she was on the same page as me. She said, that makeup thing, I think that's an excuse. I think it's something else. That doesn't explain why you've acted the way that you've acted towards me all of these 1, 2, 3, and now 4 days that we've been here in Mexico. She said she doesn't feel comfortable around him. This is not what she signed up for. She doesn't want to move forward with him, not with the engagement, not with going back to Houston, not with moving in together, and definitely not with the marriage. She is done with the experiment because she refuses to go through this any longer, and she's tried. So, hey, it is what it is. And then his response is, okay. But he had a smile on his face, which would have upset me so much. It was horrible. He just looked at her and said, okay. She's like, okay. I mean, do you want a hug before we leave? Because I think we're done with this conversation. He's like, yeah, sure. We see them do a montage of the couples heading back to Houston. Now, I say couples. So at this point, we're no longer seeing JP and Taylor. We're seeing Izzy and Stacy, and we're seeing Milton and Lydia, and they're FaceTiming their parents. And they're saying, hey, look, engaged, or look, I have a fiance, whatever the case. And they are moving into their apartment. So this is the next part of the process on Love is Blind, because Love is Blind producers rent them out. It's a nice little apartment, which I'm thinking maybe they splurged a little bit or they upgraded them, because technically there's only 2 couples. So you can spend a little bit more money. In previous seasons, there's usually like 4 to 5 couples, but with 2 couples, they may as well live nice. So you can see that Izzy and Stacy are in their apartment. They're still happy because, of course, they just came off their spicy little pre-honeymoon. And they're talking about flowers because he wants to buy her flowers every Monday. Then we have Milton and Lydia. They're in their new apartment. She gets low-key irritated with him because he's sitting on the cabinet. Girl, just let him be. Like, y'all don't even pay rent there. Love is Blind is paying for this. Let that man sit on the cabinet. Whatever. She said, that's what chairs are for. Sit in the chairs. I want you to sit in the chairs. I'm starting to notice a little bit more that bossiness about Lydia. It might start getting on his nerves, but right now he's still tolerating it. So they start talking about his work shift because he had checked his phone and saw that he had to work night shift for 4 days straight. And so that would put them on opposite work schedules. But they had the conversation and they worked through it. Not a big deal. Then we're back to Izzy and Stacy. They're at their apartment. She's so excited because her family's super excited. Now he says his mom, on the other hand, she does have some reservations. She's hesitant because of the whole experiment, but he thinks that she's coming around. Then we go to Milton and Lydia, and Milton and Lydia, they go visit Milton's real apartment because they want to see how they've lived outside of the pods and outside of this fairy tale life that Netflix has created for them in their new little apartment. So they go back to Milton's apartment. It doesn't have many decorations, which Milton doesn't seem like the type of person that would care about decorations, but she's complaining, which you knew Lydia was going to find a complaint about these cow rugs that he has. She said, your place is so bland. It's like a college dorm. I'm like, girl, you're going to have to stop with that. Those referring to those like young comments, because that does not look like a college dorm. I've stayed in a college dorm. A college dorm low-key looks like jail. Like the walls can be brick sometimes. It is just, his apartment was not like that. It was actually very nice. Now, Milton, it was funny. In his bathroom, he randomly had a stack of ones and they were sitting on top of some Playboy magazines. Like, Milton, I know this is not your little display for when you go to a strip club. Ironically enough, his roommate also comes in. His roommate is just like another version of him. He's definitely not as tall, but he's very like nerdy, kind of geeky, monotone, but he's like clever with his words and witty as well too. He could keep up with the conversation. What I love about him is that he speaks very highly of Milton. So I loved it, their whole connection. So then we go right back to Izzy and Stacy. Now, this was very interesting because they're driving to Stacy's house, but Stacy is driving the car. It is her car. It is a really nice Mercedes Benz. They're driving to her house and she pulls up her garage and there's also another Mercedes Benz inside. Mind you, Stacy has not been married and divorced. She got all of this on her own. She has been successful in her own right. So they pull up. Izzy is saying he's excited because if they get married, he'll be moving into this house. So I had some reservations with that. I had some pause about it, but I'm going to get to it. So she's excited to show him her whole house. She shows him the upstairs. She shows him her kitchen. Everything, including her closet, is so freaking nice, so organized. You can tell that she likes quality things, even when it comes down to the silverware. They all look the exact same. The wine glasses, the way they're placed in the cabinet. She takes so much pride in her home, and she's still building and building from there. So then I've always said Stacy was the mature one in their relationship. And so she says, okay, so let's talk about this because we have to have this money conversation because as you know, I own this home. And if you come in here, we're going to have to split these costs like 50-50. I'm going to need to know about your checkings, about your savings, your salary, if you have money in your retirement account. We have to have money that gets put aside every single paycheck because if these HVACs give out, then that's $20,000 right there we have to shell out. I need to know that you have that available. And I thought that was really interesting because as a homeowner, if you have major things that you would have to pay for, why don't you just get a home warranty or increase your homeowner's insurance or get a certain policy that could cover those types of things? But those are just my thoughts. Now, maybe she doesn't believe in that and she's like, look, I save up money for a rainy day, but why would you want to drop 20K? Whatever. Izzy, you notice he's not saying much back in this conversation. He's just sitting and nodding his head. And his response at the end was, you don't have to worry about that with me. You're good. But he doesn't go into any type of detail. Now, we know that he has bad credit, thanks to Johnny when she was hating on him when he got engaged. But has he told her that? I don't know how his financial situation is. She literally told him, like, look, my family is well off now because they've come into some money, but that wasn't always the case. And I've seen people try to take advantage of me and my father, and I don't want that to be the case. I want somebody to treat me like I don't have any money. Like, I want to be treated as if I have nothing. But girl, you don't have nothing. You're bringing something to the table. I think that she should think of this as more as a team and a partnership, like they're working together rather than like treat me as if I have nothing. Like, no, let's build together if we're supposed to say I do at the altar and become husband and wife and the two become one. I don't know. I just think that that's very interesting. It is good that she wanted to have a money conversation because they needed to, and obviously they still need to because he didn't say much, but I think that they need to learn how to meet in the middle with some of those harder conversations. So we'll see how this affects them moving forward. But anywho, that was my review, my take for Love is Blind Season 5, episodes 5 and 6, and I will be coming out with another video for episodes 7 and 8. Y'all, it gets even more heated from there. So we shall see. Anyways, holla. See you guys later. Like the video and subscribe. Bye.